With Chumlee's final sentence handed down, his tenure on Pawn Stars is finally over. After earning millions from the sale of bobbleheads, the reality TV star now faces a future devoid of wealth, fame, or independence. When police searched his house and discovered firearms, narcotics, and a hidden room with a stripper pole, the court showed no mercy. Nothing will ever be the same for the Pawn Stars family. On September 8, 1982, Austin Lee Russell, better known as Chumlee, was born in Henderson, Nevada. With his parents and 3 siblings, he was raised in a household of 6. His father was a DJ, so there was always music and creativity in their house. The workaholic lifestyle of Nevada was reflected in his mother's employment at a nearby casino. Life was full of personality, but it wasn't glamorous. Due in large part to his father's profession, Chumlee developed a love for music from an early age. His laid-back personality was formed by his appreciation of energy and rhythm. However, a terrible loss struck him just as his life was about to change. His father died of pancreatic cancer in 2009, only 2 weeks before Pawn Stars debuted, at the age of 54. It was a devastating loss. Years later, it was a pivotal moment that made him re-evaluate his way of life and give his health more consideration. The majority of Chumlee's time in the 1980s and 1990s was spent skateboarding, gaming on video games, and gathering anything that piqued his curiosity. These were more than pastimes. They influenced his perspective on the world. He was fascinated by unusual and priceless objects. Even though he enjoyed experiential learning, school was a different matter. He didn't get interested in conventional topics, and studying seemed difficult. He continued to acquire the abilities that will help him succeed in the future despite this. He was given a nickname that would stick with him forever when he was 12 years old. According to a friend, he resembled Chumlee, the endearing but dim-witted walrus from the 1960s animated series Tennessee Tuxedo. He was immediately referred to as Chumlee by everyone since the moniker stuck. What was once a joke became a significant aspect of who he was. After Pawn Stars debuted in 2009, Chumlee's name gained international recognition. He became a fan favorite right away because of his laid-back and humorous demeanor. On the show, Chumlee accepted the taunts from Rick Harrison. He made the most of it rather than letting it make him feel ashamed. He took use of the term to produce items such as bobbleheads and t-shirts. His authenticity made him adored by his fans. His popularity increased because he didn't pose as someone else. Chumlee struggled academically, but he had a keen sense of collecting. He was a huge fan of antique toys, video games, comic books, and sports memorabilia. It went beyond simply having possessions. The backstories were interesting to him. He started purchasing and selling one-of-a-kind goods from friends and neighbors when he was a little boy. Unaware of it, he was already forming the business acumen that would serve him well in his later years. Beginning in 2003, Chumlee worked at the gold and silver pawn store. Years prior to being well known for Pawn Stars. Due to no unique qualifications, he was not hired. Instead, his seat was guaranteed by his early acquaintance with Corey Harrison, Richard Harrison's grandson and Rick Harrison's son. Because of Corey's positive recommendation, Chumlee was hired. He began with basic duties including loading stuff, creating tickets, and testing items when he was 21 years old. His formative years were everything but glitzy, and he made a lot of blunders. He seriously damaged a $20,000 stand-up bass once by leaning it against an unsteady shelf. He made a mistake, but the Harrisons kept him on. His moniker also has a fascinating history. His face looked like Chumlee, the walrus from the famous cartoon Tennessee Tuxedo, according to a friend's father. Eventually, the moniker became a part of who he was. His work at the store began as just that, a job, but it ultimately led to his rise to fame on reality TV. Nobody anticipated Pawn Stars would go on to become one of the most popular reality TV shows ever when it debuted on the History Channel in 2009. The program allowed viewers to inside the renowned gold and silver pawn store in Las Vegas, which has been a family-run enterprise since 1989. The shop had been transformed into a unique location where rich and uncommon objects were traded daily by Richard, Old Man Harrison, and his son Rick over the course of several years. But Rick's concept was more expansive. Their pawn shop was more than simply a business, he realized. Stories might be found in plenty there. He spent years pitching the show's concept to several networks. Most didn't care. Rick persisted despite the fact that a pawn store didn't seem like thrilling TV. His belief that the combination of history, negotiations, and surprising discoveries might captivate an audience was correct. Pawn Stars was an immediate hit upon its July 19, 2009, launch. It was easy to follow but quite addictive. Customers brought in anything from pop culture collectibles to historical treasures in the hopes of finding a good bargain. The authenticity and worth of these things were evaluated by experts, transforming each episode into a combination of entertainment and knowledge. The cast of the play was what actually made it work. The gruff but endearing old guy, Corey's childhood friend Austin Chumlee Russell, Big Hoss Harrison, Rick, and his son Corey were doing more than just managing a company. Because of their varied personalities, disputes, and banter, every discussion felt like a high-stakes family drama. Over 7 million people watched each episode of Pawn Stars, making it the top-viewed show on the History Channel by 2011. It was the second most-watched reality TV show in the United States, after Jersey Shore. And it wasn't limited to the United States. With translations into 38 languages, the program was broadcast in 150 countries. A popular tourist destination, the Gold and Silver Pawn Store attracted admirers from all over the world who wanted to see the location and the individuals who put on the show. It wasn't the old man, Rick, or even Corey who was Pawn Star's breakout star. Chumlee was there. The pawn business was where Austin Chumlee Russell had been employed long before the cameras began to roll. But once the show started taping, his silly, easygoing nature made him a natural on screen. He was portrayed as the endearing goofball. Fans related to him despite his regular mistakes and reprimands from Rick. Was relatable, humorous, and always seemed to add a little pandemonium to the store. As the episode progressed, viewers came to see that Chumlee was more than just comic relief. His interest was collecting, particularly old video games, footwear, and toys. He was an expert in his field, and he gradually established himself as more than just a mistake-prone individual. He has the ability to recognize good things and even strike good bargains. The popularity of Chumlee skyrocketed. He started his own line of items because his fans adored him so much. Bobbleheads, caps, t-shirts, and other items for collecting. Rick himself chose to stock Chumlee's products in the pawn store due to the high demand. The triumph didn't end there. Chumlee opened a confectionery in Las Vegas and appeared on spin-off programs such as American Restoration. Chumlee's level of knowledge was startling, even beyond his on-screen antics. He was a great addition to the pawn store because of his knowledge of pop culture. Treasures. He had a remarkable ability to recognize rare footwear and understood the true worth of old video games that others would not. On multiple occasions, he surprised his co-stars by striking extremely lucrative deals. Audience perception of Chumlee was altered by this alteration in his job. He had evolved into a true authority in his own right and was no longer just the humorous guy. His impact even contributed to changing how the general public viewed pawn shops. Not only did they house antiques and historical relics, but they might also be treasure troves of contemporary goods. The popularity of Chumlee grew along with the Pawn Stars. Due to the show's worldwide success, he became a household name. In an attempt to meet him, tourists poured into the Gold and Silver Pawn Store. In addition to signing signatures at conventions and traveling for public appearances, he rose to prominence on reality television. 15 years after its launch, Pawn Stars continues to thrive. Additionally, the cast members' chemistry is a major factor in its popularity. Rick is still a shrewd businessman, Corey is a formidable next-generation pawnbroker, and Chumlee, who was originally only there as comedic relief, has grown to be one of the most adored characters in the past. There is more to Chumlee than just being Pawn Stars' amusing sidekick. He's a savvy entrepreneur who understands how to make money off of celebrity. He utilized his fame from the show, and his real name was Austin Lee Russell, to start several businesses, demonstrating his versatility as a comedian. He has an amazing portfolio outside of reality TV, which includes running a candy shop and selling products. His goods line was among his first and most effective strategies. He was adept at taking advantage of his fans' fondness for his easygoing, silly demeanor. He began selling bobbleheads, t-shirts, hats, and other memorabilia, transforming his persona into a brand. There was a great demand. In 2010, he took a risky move. Sold half of his merchandise company for $155,000 to his boss and co-star on Pawn Stars, Rick Harrison. It wasn't only about making money here. While maintaining a sizable ownership share in the company, the deal allowed him to expand operations and enhance logistics. The figures showed that he was right. The fact that some Chumlee bobbleheads were fetching up to $400 demonstrated how well-liked his brand had grown. Actually, it was said that the empire of Pawn Stars products was making more money than the antiques themselves. Chumlee didn't stop there either. He took an unexpected action in 2017. He opened Chumlee's confectionery on the Las Vegas street. Co-owned with his brother Sage Russell, the store is situated in Pond Plaza, adjacent to the well-known gold and silver pawn shop. The nostalgic confections that evoke childhood memories, such as bottle caps and razzles, were the specialty of this unique candy store. To lend a distinctive touch to the store, he even included novelty goods like toothpicks and branded jerky. The store isn't very big. Only 6 people can be accommodated at once, and it is shaped like a shipping container. However, that exclusivity was advantageous to it. Not only were fans there for the sweets, but they also wanted to meet Chumlee. The store gained popularity fast, received positive reviews, and averaged 4.2 stars on the internet. Chumlee was able to leverage his star position even in a completely different field. He has established himself not only through actual enterprises but also through endorsements and public appearances. He frequently attends conventions like Comic-Con to interact with fans and advertise merchandise. These appearances are not merely for amusement. They provide a significant revenue stream. Also, brands have taken note. Energy drinks are among the many goods he has promoted. To memorabilia, utilizing his persona and social media presence to maintain fan interaction. He has maintained his relevance in the face of personal difficulties. Online buzz has been generated by his Pokemon card collection and weight loss journey. His ability to maintain interest is demonstrated. As the adorable goofball of the gold and silver pawn business, Chumlee gained a reputation. His on-screen antics, jokes, and easygoing demeanor were all well received by fans. But in 2016, things drastically and startlingly changed in his life. A police raid that resulted from what began as an investigation into an unrelated complaint revealed a much more serious legal issue that threatened to ruin his personal life and profession. It all started in March 2016 when Chumlee's residence was searched by Las Vegas police. An allegation of sexual assault made by a lady allegedly associated with the pawn store was being looked into by authorities. Due to a lack of proof, no charges were ever brought in relation to that claim. Nonetheless, the raid itself turned up something quite different. His home was discovered to have a startling cache of illicit goods, weapons, drugs, and signs of potential drug distribution. Chumlee's arrest on other offenses unrelated to the original probe resulted from this swiftly escalated finding. Almost 5 ounces of marijuana in different containers, 17 bars of Xanax, and 7 methamphetamine powder capsules were among the things confiscated. Digital scales and plastic baggies, which are frequently used to package drugs for sale, were also found by police. But the medicines weren't the only thing that caused worry. 12 weaponry, including unlicensed assault-style rifles, shotguns, and handguns, were discovered by the authorities strewn about the premises. Chumlee had proper registration for some of the guns, but not for others. For law enforcement, the sheer number of firearms and drugs indicated that this was not merely for personal use. According to a police report, there was open involvement in illicit activities based on how the objects were divided and stored throughout the property. In particular, they were drawn to one chamber. They called it the Chum Chum Room. Included a dance pole and other odd objects. Authorities even observed indications of potential cocaine use. These specifics fueled rumors that the reality star had a far more extravagant lifestyle off-camera than anyone had previously thought. Prosecutors brought 20 criminal charges against Chumlee, which further complicated his legal issues, such as using drugs, possessing firearms illegally, and being a forbidden individual, drug user, or handgun owner. He might spend a significant amount of time in prison if found guilty due to the seriousness of these allegations. However, in May 2016, he reached a plea agreement that spared him from going to jail. On one felony weapons charge and one misdemeanor drug charge, he entered a guilty plea. He consented to submit to required treatment, finish 3 years of probation, and forfeit all drugs and firearms that were seized in exchange. His felony conviction would be dropped, leaving merely a misdemeanor on his record if he remained out of trouble until 2019, according to the agreement. Considering how serious the allegations were, several people thought the plea deal was a lucky break. Some said it was an indication that the legal system gives preference to famous people who have the best legal counsel. Chumlee had an obvious decision either way: observe the conditions or face a lengthy jail term. Pawn Stars Chumlee's future was clouded by his arrest. Production was said to have stopped at the moment, leaving fans to wonder if he would still be in the cast. Rumors circulated regarding potential rebranding or even cancellation, but neither the History Channel nor the A&E network made any choices right away. After finishing his probation, Chumlee made a comeback to the show despite the uncertainties. His return caused controversy among viewers. While some welcomed it, believing he had reformed, others believed it undermined the show's credibility. Until 2025, there were still calls for his dismissal, with some claiming that his continued presence set a bad example. Chumlee, however, remained relevant due to his insightful understanding of pop culture items and his humorous timing. Despite the uproar, he continued to play a major role in the series. His reputation suffered, yet many people found resonance in his journey of redemption. In 2019, he concentrated on bettering himself after finishing probation. Prioritizing sobriety was the first step, but it was only the beginning. Chumlee also started a drastic weight loss program that transformed his life. His weight, which was 350 pounds at his heaviest, had an impact on his physical and emotional health. It was a wake-up call when his father died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 54. Chumlee understood that he had to take charge of his health. His 2021 gastric sleeve operation, which shrinks the stomach to restrict food consumption, was a significant milestone. The metamorphosis, however, was not limited to the operation. He had previously shed 35 pounds before the procedure by following a rigorous diet and exercising. Following the treatment, he made a commitment to a rigorous exercise regimen, focusing on strength and cardio training 6 days a week. He used weightlifting, stairmaster intervals, and walking on an inclined treadmill. He completely changed his diet as well. He focused on lean proteins and veggies and cut out processed foods and sugary drinks. He adopted an attitude of moderation and completely stopped eating red meat. Because of these lifestyle adjustments, he lost an incredible 160 pounds, reducing his weight down to 190. The change was more than just bodily. He spoke of feeling completely different, more self-assured, involved, and in the moment. Fans also took notice of the difference. On Pawn Stars, he seemed more concentrated. He became more energetic. His story turned into a demonstration of how perseverance and self-control can result in significant transformation. But he had to get through the legal quagmire that almost put a stop to his career before he could get there. Police found guns and drugs in his Las Vegas house during a raid in March 2016. The scenario rapidly became more intense. Among the more than 20 criminal counts against him were possession of a narcotic and unlawful possession of a handgun. Despite the fear of going to prison, he was able to negotiate a plea agreement with the help of knowledgeable legal counsel. He was given a 3-year probationary period and court-mandated treatment in lieu of jail time. This time frame turned into a watershed. Chumlee made use of the opportunity to think and grow instead of reverting to old behaviors. He demonstrated his commitment to reform by completing his probation without any problems. He was able to address underlying problems through counseling sessions, such as stress associated to his notoriety and previous decision-making styles. To improve his reputation, he also poured himself into community duty. 2019 saw the dismissal of his felony case after he had completely completed all legal obligations. He relied on admirers who thought he could be saved and close pals like Corey Harrison during it all. The significance of perseverance and second chances was emphasized by his journey. Was more than simply avoiding another blunder. The goal was to improve oneself. He had more in mind than simply getting back on Pawn Stars when he eventually made a comeback. He returned ready to show that he was a different person. He was candid about his background and accepted responsibility in a way that the audience found compelling. A new degree of professionalism and involvement was evident in his interactions on the show. Despite his popularity on Pawn Stars, Chumlee Russell's success extends well beyond the pawn shop. His successful business endeavors throughout the years have demonstrated that he is more than just the show's comic relief. His May 2017 establishment of Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard was one of his most significant business decisions. Only a short distance from the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, the store is located at Pawn Plaza. Fans can discover vintage candies like Razzles, bottle caps, and candy cigarettes, some of Chumlee's personal favorites, there. The store is a nostalgic destination for both locals and visitors, selling bulk delicacies like saltwater taffy and gummy bears. It uses a repurposed shipping container for operations despite its diminutive size. The sweet store has become into a must-see location. It is co-owned by Chumlee and his brother, Sage Russell, who have created a successful business that attracts repeat customers. In order to meet Chumlee himself, who frequently swings by to sign autographs, take selfies, and talk with customers, fans frequently wait outside. It's not simply the candy selection that makes the store appealing. Fans adore Chumlee's universe because it encompasses a blend of humor, nostalgia, and genuine charm. However, Chumlee's candy store is only one aspect of their business. Taking advantage of his Pawn Star's popularity, he has introduced a range of branded products over the years, such as t-shirts, hats, and even bobbleheads. In 2010, he sold half of his merchandise company to Rick Harrison, proving his business acumen. For $155,000, which allowed him to remain involved while streamlining operations. In addition, he has experimented with selling collectibles online and is still growing his business. He has encountered obstacles along the way. He had legal issues in 2016 due to accusations of narcotics possession and firearms possession. Chumlee was able to turn things around, despite many people believing that this would ruin his career. His confectionery store is still open as of 2024 and receives good feedback from clients who value its distinctive assortment and individual touch. More significantly, it is evidence that Chumlee is capable of transforming obstacles into possibilities. Chumlee's dedication to giving back extends beyond business. He has supported significant projects with his platform and been active in a number of humanitarian causes. He took part in the Anti-Up for Autistic event in 2014, which helped raise money and awareness for autistic research. There was more to his involvement than merely writing a check. He demonstrated that his support was sincere by actively contributing to the cause. Additionally, Chumlee has supported groups including the Boys and Girls Clubs of America and the Epilepsy Foundation of Nevada. He gives more than just cash. He comes up, engages with the community, and encourages others to get active by using his prominence. He takes the time to engage with people even at his candy store, adding a personal touch that leaves a lasting impact. When police raided Chumlee's house in Las Vegas in 2016, they discovered something surprising. A notorious area of his home called the Chum Room. The public was soon intrigued by this space, which had a dance pole. But the setup wasn't the only thing that caused concern. Police discovered a rolled-up $1 bill with identical powdery residues inside, along with a clear plastic baggie that had white residue. Although no formal statement ever verified their precise aim, these findings raised the possibility of drug use. Originally a part of an investigation into sexual assault, the raid quickly evolved into something much more. During their search, cops found firearms and a stockpile of cocaine strewn all over the house. In addition to the suspicious things found in the Chum Room, the authorities also found 17 Xanax bars, marijuana, methamphetamine, and drug paraphernalia. The results significantly contrasted with the laid-back, enjoyable character Chumlee exhibited on Pawn Stars. Investigators also observed items including plastic baggies and digital scales that are commonly used in drug distribution and packaging. The amount of evidence generated considerable concerns about Chumlee's off-screen activities, despite his insistence that he wasn't a dealer. Fans began to speculate about how much of his TV character was true once the Chum Room was discovered. Chumlee ultimately faced 19 drug possession charges and 1 felony firearms charge. Although there was insufficient evidence to support the sexual assault allegations, the harm had already been done. One of the most strange and memorable parts of his personal controversy was the Chum Room, which revealed a side of him that few had ever thought possible. In spite of the controversies, Chumlee's career remained intact. To be precise, he made a corporate empire out of his fame, demonstrating that financial success is not always correlated with public opinion. He routinely outsold Rick and Corey Harrison and other Pawn Stars cast members in item sales. Fans were drawn to his easygoing humor, and his popularity reflected this. A huge hit was Chumlee-branded stuff, which ranged from t-shirts and mugs to expensive collectibles. The fact that a signed bobblehead, one of the most popular things, fetches $400 is evidence of his devoted following. A year after Pawn Stars' debut, Chumlee made a wise business decision by selling Rick Harrison half of his merchandise firm for $155,000. The agreement permitted growth, and demand only increased. It may surprise you to learn that Pawn Stars products has surpassed actual pawnshop transactions in profitability. Instead of selling antiques, branded goods now account for a sizable amount of the gold and silver pawnshop's earnings. The significance of Chumlee's image to the show's financial success is demonstrated by this change. His business endeavors extended beyond the sale of items. He set up Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard, a confectionery close to the Las Vegas pawn business. His business risk pays off again since tourists frequently visit both places in a single trip. His capacity to parlay celebrity into wealth demonstrates that his following is still devoted in spite of the scandals.